Right.
So hello.
Hello.
To start off with, would you like to say your name and where you are?
My name is Beatrix Wimmer, and I'm in Vienna. I'm in my house, in my living room. This is the first day of my summer holidays. Yeah.
It was nice of you to meet with me then.
Yes.
Thank you. So the first question for you is, who are you as a person, as a human being? And that can be values, passions, qualities about yourself, or whatever you might like to share.
Right. First of all, I would say I'm a woman, which is important to me because it shapes my being in this world. I'm a Gestalt therapist. I'm a wife. I'm a mother, and I'm a grandmother of two wonderful grandsons. And I like to observe how my roles in this life are changing. Yeah.
Okay, so those are some of your
different
roles.
From being a grandmother and being a mother, there is a big shift. Of course, I'm a mother still, but when my daughter has adopted the role of the mother, it's quite interesting how the roles and the being together are changing.
I've heard. How is that for you?
Briefly, fantastic, I would say. I have a very good connection to my daughter and to my grandsons. I see them. The boys are coming every week for a sleepover from Friday to Saturday, and I have a very good connection to them. And it's wonderful to watch them, to play with them, to spend time with them. And then it's good that they go back to their parents as well.
I've heard that too.
Yes. Yeah. And it's what has changed is also my I would say my capacity, my view towards the children. I can see different things, and sometimes I was thinking, oh, wouldn't that have been great if I could have understood this before as well? But this is the experience, and it is the change of looking at, I would say, human development, see how children are developing. And I think, of course, I did this when my daughter was small as well, but it was from a different angle and not with that experience.
So those are some of your roles. What would you say are some of your passions?
Well, I'm sitting here in my house, which I'm so lucky to have found only a year ago during the pandemic. So it was a big gift for me to find this. And I have wished for a long time to have a house with a garden. For the last 20 years, I have lived in the Vienna city center, which is wonderful to live, no question there. 10 minutes walk from the very, very center of the city, but no greenery. And I really wanted to be in a house with a garden. And now I'm here. So this is one of my passions, is my garden. I like to spend time there. What else do I do? I love cinema. I love books. I love music. I do yoga a lot, which is I would say most of the time I'm passionate about it. Sometimes not. Yeah, going out, being out and about, going to the mountains, enjoying swimming. So, and of course, what is a big passion in my life is, of course, Gestalt therapy. But I think we will come to that.
Yeah,
at some
we'll come
point.
to that later.
Yeah.
So what would you say are some of the values that you hold in these different areas of your life or different aspects of yourself?
I think that my values are very much based on ethics, on how to meet the environment, other people, but also regarding biodiversity, to treat the environment. And I don't know how to say this better, but I would say what I'm passionate fighting against is inequality on all levels. Starting from what I said, first of all, I'm a woman. So there is a lot of inequality, gender inequality, but it goes further. It's not only gender inequality, it's towards other people, towards other countries, towards rich and poor. So this is what I really cannot, I cannot stand it. Yeah.
And maybe there's some, I don't know, it's not cause and effect, right? But maybe there are some reasons in your own story why that matters so much. But I'm wondering what comes to mind as an event or a set of circumstances in your life that you would say have really shaped you or defined you somehow?
Well, I think what I really experienced from a very early age on was that my mother, after the divorce of my parents, she was a single mother, and she had to take care of my elder brother and me. And it was clear that she faced a lot of difficult situations. At the time, it was not very usual that women are divorced. And she was very much struggling and doing her best to care for us and to support us in having a good education. That was very important to her. And she got a lot of support from my grandparents, or from her parents. And my grandmother was very important to me, as she and my grandfather, they lived a very interesting relationship, which was kind of unusual then as well. And I would say they shared everything. So there was no question of who is taking care of children or who is going to work, but everything was shared. I think this is where it started. Yeah.
Okay. And so how did those circumstances influence you?
I think a very important influence was that it was clear to me that there are differences and inequalities that are not fair. And I was always, in a way, fighting against them or pointing them out. not fighting in a
Mhm.
in a bad way, but pointing them out and making people around me aware of them as well.
Hmm.
And it goes on until this moment. Mhm.
So I often also ask about other people. So who comes to mind as having been an influence or having had an impact on who you are?
Yeah, I have already mentioned my grandmother,
Mhm.
uh, who was very, very dear to me and always supported me in being who I am. So this is what she said, just be who you are. She was actually, shall I put it, she was not well educated. She was not from an academic background or something. It was a very simple woman, but with very clear values towards the world. So she has lived with her husband together, of course, through the Second World War, which was a terrible situation in Europe and in Austria, of course. And she managed to keep her values up. She taught me how to be brave, I think. I think she was a very brave woman. Yeah. She comes up. And then from a professional perspective, I would say a teacher I had in school who brought me in contact with psychology. She herself was very young then. So we were 2 years before finishing school. The subject psychology was added to the curriculum. And she came to taught us and to teach us. She was about 10 years older than we were. So, so this was very nice. And I would say she lit the fire of interest for psychology. And then I studied psychology and went on with the psychotherapy training.
It's interesting how many people come back to teachers. It's really remarkable. Yes. And how many people say, I don't know if that teacher would even remember me, but.
Well, I know she remembers me because I'm still in contact with her.
Wonderful.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah. So you've mentioned a few times the idea or the experience of being a woman. So I'm wondering, can you say a bit more about how you understand yourself or how you experience yourself within your gender or as a woman?
Mm-hmm. I think what I experience is is situations where I cannot. No, I start differently. For me, it is normal to go out, to contact my environment, to make use of my environment, to be out and about. And only a few weeks ago, I experienced a situation where I was riding on my bike. It was getting darker, and I felt unsafe. And I was thinking, why? Why do I need to feel unsafe only because I'm out in an area where there are not many people, there is not so much light. I was visiting a friend and cycling back. Now I'm thinking, this is what I understand when I speak of inequality as well, that I feel restricted by the society I live in just because I'm a woman. And I know it has become better with every year I grew older. It's better, it's getting better and better. But still, I'm aware of that it makes a difference if I'm out as a man, if I'm speaking as a woman, or if a man speaks, or if a man is out. And then I had a very touching experience when I was watching, what is it called? Kamala Harris inauguration as Vice President of the US. And I was sitting there and watching this, and I was talking to my husband saying, do you know, this is the first moment in my life where I can see something like that. Can you imagine what it means to women and girls all around the world? Because never has been a woman in this position before. And this is what I'm doing also. I'm making other people around me aware of this. That these are new steps that are taken that haven't been taken before for centuries. Yeah. So what I can see, or what I can say about myself, is that I think it's necessary to support women, not only by women but by other men as well, to make use of their environment, to develop themselves and to bring forward their own potential. This also brought me to Gestalt therapy. I think it fits very well.
Yes, very much. So you've mentioned sort of this grandmother stage of womanhood as well. I'm wondering how you're experiencing your age and the aging process. If you would like to say anything more about that.
Yeah. As I said before, many things are getting better. So what I really experience is I'm a lot less hesitant to say what I want or what I don't want. And I can be a lot clearer than I was when I was younger. Of course, there are bodily changes as well, where you can see, well, it has been different before, but it's okay. I can accept it like it is. I think it's an advantage in a way, because this striving of fitting in, or of being, I don't know, in the right shape or saying the right words or something, that goes down a bit, I would say. So it gives more freedom also. I can see it all around as well. All my my female friends, it's a kind of freedom as well of many things.
So you've also mentioned things about this in a few different ways, but I would ask more directly how you experience power and privilege in your life.
Oh, yes. Well, it depends on the angle you are looking at. I think also in the Austrian society where I live, I'm surely belonging to a group of people that is privileged. So, for instance, for getting this house here is not that somebody can do that everybody can do every day. It's just not possible. And it hadn't been possible for me for a long time in my life. And I think I'm appreciated where I'm living, what I'm saying, what I'm doing, also in a professional way. When I was, for this period, when I was the president of EHET, of course, this is a privilege, but it is also a big responsibility to use the power given, but not to misuse it, but to be clear about this and to hold an ethical stance in this, to see what is necessary to do, but always in adjusting to the situation that is happening. From a standpoint where I look to other countries, I think I and many of us, if not all of us, are tremendously privileged because we are well educated. We have a light skin color. These are privileges that we are living in Europe. I mean, you are living in Mexico, I think. True. Yeah. I think living in Europe alone is a privilege with all the social standards, and political regimes are changing now. I'm very aware of this, but still, compared to other countries, I think to live in Europe is a privilege nobody has worked for, just inherited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that you talk about going out and bicycling and seeing friends and walking to the city center. That still sounds far away in terms of the pandemic and privileges for a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you look at the pandemic and the vaccination schemes, I mean, everybody around me who wanted to be vaccinated is vaccinated. And there are many people who don't want, not around me, but there are many people who didn't want to be vaccinated. But everybody who wanted could. And actually, I was ashamed when I listened to what our Prime Minister said, how many doses of vaccination he ordered for a country of 8 million people. I mean, it was ridiculous. Yeah.
So
this is what I want to say is this is the inequality, global inequality again. Yeah. The rich countries can take care of their inhabitants, and the poor ones, they don't even get a chance.
So that is where you are. And I'm curious about the other part of this conversation, which is also the Gestalty part.
Okay.
So I guess I would start just by asking, how did you come into Gestalt? How did you find it?
When I was studying psychology, I did an internship on an inpatient clinic for rehabilitation of substance misusers. And I went there very naive. I didn't have any clue, but I thought could be interesting. And this is what I did. And with the therapists there, I did like co-facilitating groups. And this is why I thought could be an idea to learn more about this. And a very close person to me was doing Gestalt training and was suggesting that I could start with a self-experiential group. And this is what I did. So I went to a self-experiential group 2 years before I started the process of getting into the training. And for me, it was very clear that this is where I feel at home, where where I can develop a different view to many things, where I could be like I am. Yeah.
This is just a tangent. It's an interest of mine. Sometimes people say, yes, I work with, substance misuse and things like that. Here in Mexico, that's mostly alcohol, marijuana, meth. What are the drugs of choice in Vienna?
Well, I think it has changed a lot by now, but then when I can very well remember when I had the first few days in this rehabilitation center, I was meeting mostly men in their 40s and beyond. So they were about 20 years older than I am. And they were all on heroin.
Mm.
Mm. So marijuana was, well, yes, also, but it was not the main problem. And it was a world completely different, that completely strange, new to me.
It's yeah, because I hear therapists here say, oh yes, I work with addictions. I'm like, have you ever met anyone who's been on heroin? No. So it's a different planet.
This was my start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was a very young psychology student, and this was my start of practical work. And I must say, I learned a lot about it. Of course, this developed after in all these years, and I'm not doing this since a long time now. But I would say, like, the foundations of approaching clients, of making contact, of understanding how to do this, they were laid there. They are there. Yeah.
And so what is it that you found in Gestalt? What attracted you, or what has kept you there?
For me, it was very, very exciting. It was exciting to get in contact with other people, to see and to get to know therapists who were working here at the time. And I know, for example, that you have interviewed Nancy Armand Lyon. And to say who has influenced me, Nancy has influenced me a lot as well, of course. She was one of my teachers and supervisors, and we are now close friends as well. And it was, for me, it was like exploring a completely new world. I thought, oh, this is how it can be as well. So I found the excitement, and I think that Gestalt therapy, for me personally, it's not only a modality of psychotherapy, but it is a way of being in the world. And this is what I very much appreciate. And what I find is that there is no area where Gestalt therapy principles could not be applied when you think about it. So I remember a friend responding to me and saying, it's amazing, we can talk about whatever we want, you will always come back to Gestalt therapy. I said, yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
what I found is a kind of identity, or a feeling of belonging. I said it before. It's also a feeling of I felt at home when I met Gestalt therapy. I thought so. This was yeah.
and so would you say that you feel like you're part of a Gestalt community as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What does that mean to you?
It means being in good company, even, and I know that, of course, even if there are a lot of conflicts and whatever, but I think there is a common ground, and being part of a Gestalt community is a kind of belonging for me, is a kind of openness. And when you ask me, I can I can feel a kind of warmth. It's fun. It's often hard work. It is good ideas. It is sometimes, I think, when we start from the founders, revolutionary, and it's very, very political. And this is what is so important to me as well. So the political part of the Gestalt therapy is just enormously important to me, but also for societies, communities.
By that you mean sort of the social impact and movement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the Paul Goodman part.
Yes.
But I think, of course, it's primarily the Paul Goodman part, but also what Laura and Fritz Perls did. They were in the communist movement in the 30s in Berlin, so they were very political themselves as well. So it's not only Paul Goodman, but the seeds were there before.
You've also been part of organized society in Gestalt. I mean, you were the president of something, right?
Yes.
So what is that part of Gestalt life like? Do you want to say anything about that?
Well, I think first of all, I want to say that I think, and for me, it is like that EAGT, the European Association of Gestalt Therapy, is a wonderful organization. There are so many really involved and passionate people joining EAGT and working to bring Gestalt therapy forward. And I enjoy that part very much. And then, of course, there is the other part that nobody, I think, enjoys very much, where there are regulations and rules and accreditations and re-accreditations. And I mean, I have to do this here in my country as well when I'm accredited psychotherapist. We have to do that. We have a very good law of psychotherapy in Austria. We all have to do that more or less, and as I think it's necessary to do it, but it is not it hasn't been my favorite part, I would say. Yeah.
So what would you say is sort of the central part or the essence of the work that you do?
In my daily work.
Whatever you consider yours. I mean,
The essence.
I feel like a 5-year-old when I ask this question. It's like, what do you actually do?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I think what I actually try to do is to support human growth in my practice, to support people, to support my clients, to find ways of being better in the feeling better and being better in their life and in the world where they live in. And I think that Gestalt therapy is a fantastic tool for that. I think that is the essence.
Mhm.
And one can say very much around, but this is really like trying to support myself and the other in a personal growth. And maybe that sounds a bit childish, but I think it could add to make the world a better place. Yeah.
It's fair. I can't imagine people doing work that doesn't somehow make the world a better place. That wouldn't make much sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, let's actually decide to make it worse.
Yeah.
I mean, who does that?
Yes.
So what about challenges that you would say you have run up against? And these can be challenges within Gestalt, within your work, or challenges that you faced as a person.
Well, a big challenge that I have faced was when I was asked to be president of EHET. I think professionally, this was one of the biggest challenges that I can remember. Because I was in the organization for a few years, and I was part of the ethics committee, and we did professional competencies and so on. But to be head of such a big organization is quite a challenge, and the EHET was growing in the last years enormously. So I was hesitant, I would say, and in hindsight, I think it was a great experience to have done that. With all the support I had around me in my team, in the executive committee, but with other colleagues as well, in my family. Personally, biggest challenges. What comes to my mind is a time when there were a lot of losses around me, and it felt like a lot of support was broken off, or I don't know how to phrase it better, and I needed to somehow recollect myself and integrate this and to move on. And there were personal losses. What else? Was it personal, professional?
No, I mean, it's not a list. It was just sort of an open question because some people answer it very differently.
Yeah.
But I think that's very important what you say. Just that, I mean, that there's not just like a standalone professional identity.
No.
There has to be a supported person to be able, and sometimes we're very depleted and it's very hard to continue being somebody else's therapist.
Yeah. And for this, I think I could not work properly without having my intervision group. my group of colleagues, where we lost a colleague as well. And I'm also part of an international study group, which we started with Donna Orange together, and now we are going on in this group. And it's like yes, coming home as well. Every once in a month we are meeting and discussing different topics, personal, professional, and trying to put it into perspective. Yeah.
And so on the other side of challenges, what would you say have been some of your most significant satisfactions? Or any particular experience or favorite moments?
A few years ago, I took the decision that I want to go traveling, because this is one of my passions as well. I did not mention before, and of course it has to change now regarding the climate change. And what I did is I took half a year off. I closed my practice and I went traveling. And together with a friend, I started in India and stayed there stayed there alone for a yoga training. And I was there on my own for a month, and I really enjoyed it. And the experience was to live there in an apartment and to observe how day by day you become, or I became, a little bit more part of the local community in a way, yeah? Because it was not some fancy thing, but it was very, very simple. And I enjoyed that tremendously. And then moving on from there, not alone, but with my husband, to different countries in Asia and Southeast Asia. I had experiences where, for instance, sitting on a boat on the Mekong River and thinking, is this really true? So? Yeah, and having encounters with many interesting and wonderful people. This was the, I think the essence of this long trip was having met really wonderful people and having the pictures. It's like a photo album in the head. So yeah. Having this inside me.
That sounds very Gestalt. It's the contact and the novelty. And...
Yeah.
Interesting. And is there anything that stands out in your practice or professional?
Well, it's the other side of the challenge as well of having been EHET president. Of course, it was like after completing my term, it was a little bit like that as well. And I thought, wow, I have really done that. And I have learned so much about myself, about organizations. I've met amazing people, and together we have had good times and tackled a lot of very difficult problems, of course. So this, I would say, stands out. And from my practice, a client comes to my mind who has taken an incredible development, I would say. Not only because the person is in therapeutic process with me, but also about because of the environment. But it all fits together well, and it is very touching to me to see this development and this growth, and I would say even healing of this person. So that's very, very beautiful to me.
So where do you go from here? What is next for you personally, professionally, and what do you think is next for Gestalt?
I start professionally. I have been working today, and I'm since a few weeks working together with in a working group with EHT colleagues. We have started an initiative that we want to raise awareness in EHT for climate change and biodiversity, and we are working on that. So this is something we are doing now, and I think this is very, very important. We have to rethink all our traveling and taking responsibility, and this is one thing. The other thing is that I'm also engaged in a training project in Nepal, where I see clients online, students online, which I enjoy a lot, and which is also the novelty and being curious about a complete different culture as well. And privately, first of all, I started my holidays. This is the very next thing. And the other thing is I guess spending time with, like I said in the beginning, with the grandchildren as well. Yeah, and seeing what comes from there. Yeah.
And what about Gestalt? Where is it going?
Where Gestalt is going? Well, I think for me it's important that Gestalt therapy keeps its uniqueness and is not integrated in some common psychotherapy or something. And I think Gestalt therapy has the potential to be, what should I say? With the concepts and the stance in Gestalt therapy, a lot can be moved. I think Gestalt therapists, apart from being therapists, engage a lot in local community work. And also what you are doing with these interviews is to make Gestalt therapy more visible. Even if it was not the motivation, but you say the motivation was your curiosity, but I think others are curious as well. I think it's important that Gestalt therapy keeps its curiosity, ability for solving problems or addressing problems in a different way, from a different approach. I think there is so much that is helpful for not only for ourselves and our clients, but also for bigger communities that needs to be brought out.
I'm not tuning out. I'm just sitting here thinking. I was thinking, huh. Interesting. If listening to what you've said, you know, you come back to climate change, you come back to gender inequality, it's like, oh, I guess part of what we do is if we really sit in awareness,
Yeah,
the whole paradoxical theory has a chance to work rather
exactly.
than changing behaviors and just doing. But if it comes with a real awareness,
Yes,
that might work.
yes,
It might.
it might.
It
But
might.
it is,
Socially,
it is,
politically. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Hmm. That's interesting. Okay. Well, would you say that there's anything else you would like to add at this point?
Yes, just in this last minute, it came to my mind that what you just said about raising the awareness changes something. And I think it does not need to be a big thing, but it also happens in small steps. And I did a project in the house where I have my practice as well, a Holocaust Remembrance project in Vienna. And I started it, I'm mentioning it because it started with my awareness in this house, in this very apartment where I'm living in. And from there, I developed, the curiosity came of who was living here. And then it went step by step. And what I did was I contacted two of my neighbors who were interested as well. And we founded a group and we got a historian and we connected with another group close to us who had already done something else, but they knew how to go about and how to do this and how to find the right contacts. And in the end, we installed Stele, it is called in German. Do you know that word?
No.
So a remembrance
The plaque.
thing.
Mm-hmm. A plaque, like a piece of information.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
About all these people. And what happened was, first it was a very nice celebration where many people from the area attended, and it changed the way how people were talking to each other in that house. So I think it's that what you said. It starts from the moment of my own awareness of what is going on, what is happening, and it is now every time when I see that people are walking past this house and stopping there, I'm thinking, yes, this is what we wanted. Yeah.
I've gotten into your awareness now.
Yes, yes, yeah, yes.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, well, thank you. If there's nothing else right now, I'm pretty much out of questions, but it's been very, very nice to meet you. I really appreciate your time. I'm glad that we got the first little piece of your vacation finally.
Yeah.
I will leave you free to enjoy the rest, if that's okay.
Thank you. It was very nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.